Hi, my name is Kallie Fell, and I am the Executive Director of the Center for Bioethics and Culture. And I am here today to talk to surrogate mother, Kayla, who
Yes.
I found through social media. And she'd like to tell her story of her surrogate pregnancy and what has ensued since then. So, Kayla, thank you so much for agreeing to interview with me and
You're,
for speaking with me today.
yeah, you're welcome. It's been
Yes.
crazy.
It's wild. I found out about your story just a few days ago, maybe 24 hours ago even, and then we've been chatting and it's just been a really quick turnaround. And so I appreciate um, just your agreeability and your willingness to talk with me, just after a short time of knowing and chatting with me. But we're gonna get started. So tell me a little bit about your background and motivation for wanting to become a surrogate mother.
Yeah, so I have four kids of my own, and then I got my tubes tied after my son was born. My son's four; he just turned four. So I was pretty set on being done with kids. I mean, four is kind of crazy. I'm only 27, so I have a lot of kiddos, but my family was pretty much done, and so I kind of like more into being pregnant again. I really enjoy pregnancy, and it's fun for me. A lot of women, it's not. But it's really fun for me. So I decided, hey, what better way to kind of have the best of both worlds? I can be pregnant, but I don't actually have to bring the baby home and raise it on my own. So I decided to kind of look into surrogacy. I was adopted personally, so different scenario, obviously, but the kind of the same idea of helping somebody, become a family. So that's kind of why I got into it. I did research for like a couple months, and then I applied to be a surrogate. So it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, yeah. And are you a stay-at-home mom, Kayla?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
I am.
yeah. And so you did some research. Did you research a couple different agencies, or how did you decide ultimately to choose the agency that you went with?
Yeah, so I had been on a few Facebook groups, and there was a couple that had stood out to me. One was surrogates and intended parents Facebook group, and then there was a few like surrogate match groups for the United States area. I joined a couple of those. I kind of posted like a really quick description about myself and my age and who I was, what state I lived in, stuff like that. And I actually had an agency reach out to me through Facebook. And now I know that's a major red flag. That
Okay.
should not happen. That's super big red flag. An agency should not reach out to you on social media, because if they do, it's kind of seen as like shady recruitment kind of thing. So now I know that, but being a first time surrogate, I didn't know that originally. So I got really excited, like, oh, they're reaching out to me. They want to use me as a surrogate. So we kind of started chatting through Facebook Messenger. And that's how I came to meet this agency. There wasn't like a whole bunch I spoke with before that. They were kind of one of the few that reached out, and I just messaged them back, and they were really responsive. So I kind of just went with them.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
It seemed like they made it easy, right? Like kind of like when you're looking for a job, if someone comes up to you and as a
Yeah.
candidate, I can understand that. What's interesting though, that would be considered more of a shady recruitment because I know that women are marketed to on social media for things like egg donation or egg selling
Yeah.
and marketed through surrogacy. So that's very interesting that you say that. So did you have in mind the type of couple or family or person that you wanted to be a surrogate mother for?
So ideally, I wanted to carry for a couple that either didn't have any children, or maybe just had one child and then struggled to give that child a sibling. I wasn't really interested in being a surrogate for a family that had a bunch of children already, just personal preference.
Sure.
My goal was to help somebody create a family, not so much. It sounds kind of weird, but like not so much to add another child, but to start a family, because so many people want children and they just can't. They've exhausted all options, and surrogacy really is one of those things where it's like a last resort for most people. So um yeah, that's kind of, I kind of wanted to carry for just a first baby, or adding
Mhm.
like one sibling
Mhm.
is what I wanted originally. That didn't happen, but
We'll get into that.
yeah.
So the agency you chose, was it local to your area?
No, so I'm in South Texas, and the agency that I went with was in Southern California.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the intended parent or parents, were they local to either of those areas?
Yes. So from what I understood, the beginning of the journey is that they were local. They lived like maybe 20, 30 minutes out from the actual agency location. So they were local in California, but not to where I am.
Okay. And I guess I have to ask, even though they were living in California, do you know, were they citizens of the United States?
From what I understood and understand, yes, they are.
Okay, okay. That's just like I like to clear that up because a lot of the women I talk to have are part of surrogacy arrangements that are international. So I just want to
Yeah.
get an idea of the landscape that that we're working with or that you're sharing your story through.
Yeah.
So you um, found an agency. Did they match you with the intended parents, or how did the match process work? Do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this is where most people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, how did you not know?" It's a red flag. A big oopsie on my behalf. So when they originally messaged me, like the surrogacy was like, "Hey, we're so and so agency." Basically, they were like, "We have a Chinese couple that's definitely interested in matching. They're looking. They kind of marketed this specific set of parents. They didn't say, hey, do an application. We have a bunch of families. They were straight up like, this family is ready to go now. Are you interested in caring for them? And, me being naive, not understanding, I didn't have enough knowledge behind my belt to know that that was not okay. You're supposed to choose your intended parents. You're supposed to go through profiles, and the point of an agency is to be technically like the middleman. They kind of help the surrogates find families that have similar interests and, similar lifestyles and location, stuff like that. But this agency was just very straightforward on this one couple. So that's kind of how they matched me. I did not select them, which was not okay, but it's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you obviously did you meet the couple either via like Zoom or something before signing a contract?
I did not
Wow.
meet them on Zoom. Everything was done through the through agency coordinators. I did speak with an agency coordinator on the phone. I don't really know who I was speaking to because there was so many people, I guess, that like managed the Facebook page through that agency, and so I'm not really sure who exactly I was ever talking to. I just knew that it was an agency coordinator through the agency. They kind of were the ones that did my questionnaire, like my quick little checklist before you actually get into reviewing medical records and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when it came to contract, were you assigned or given a lawyer at least to represent you legally during contract
Yeah,
negotiations?
so I was able to select a Texas-based lawyer for my behalf for the legal contract phase. So I did have my own lawyer. They had their own lawyer, and of course, they pay for my lawyer. They gave me a little bit of a stink about it, which was kind of the first red flag because my lawyer was already very fairly priced, and they wanted to go down even lower on the price for some odd reason. So luckily, they were able to agree to that because had they not, they were actually trying to hire their own lawyer for me, but I wouldn't have that because everyone was telling me, "No, like you have to have your own representation." So, they eventually did pay for her, but it was a little bit of a hassle to get them to do it. So,
Hmm. Okay.
yeah.
And your surrogacy arrangement, just to be clear, you were paid for your arrangement.
Yes, yeah.
You received like a base fare and then
Yeah, base
some.
compensation, and then there was a bunch of little ins and outs that you get for different things. So yeah.
Sure. So did you feel comfortable then moving forward? Were there any red flags during like your contract? Anything in that regard that you want to share, or did that kind of go as you kind of expected as a first time surrogate mother?
Yeah, so like honestly, everything went pretty smooth. Like the legal phase, I mean the medical clearances, I did everything locally. So like I went to my OB and had like sonograms. I went to a local like LabCorp place to do my blood work. Like everything was done locally. And then just sent, fax results to them and everything. So it was, I mean, I felt like everything that should have been happening was happening.
Okay.
So I didn't really think that there was many issues
Sure,
then.
sure.
Yeah.
And do you know, then before embryo transfer, what the relationship was for the embryo to the intended parents?
Yes. So in my contract, it stated that it was dad's sperm and an egg donor. So the egg was not from intended mother. We don't have any access to like the egg donor information. Obviously, it's anonymous, so I didn't know specifics. But it was stated to me that it was an egg donor. So
Okay,
dad's
okay,
sperm.
okay. Okay, so things are going well. You go through with the embryo transfer. Tell me just briefly if there's nothing to know about your about the transfer, about the pregnancy, anything of note.
Um, Really, the that whole portion went decently smooth. I mean, it was a little strange at the transfer because I had spoken to the agency previous to me flying there, and they had said that mom and dad were going to be there to meet me and all this good stuff, right? I get there and the mom's not there, but the dad's there. And I asked, I was like, well, I thought both parents were supposed to be here to meet me. It was my first actual meeting with them in person over the phone. Like I never had anything like that beforehand. So this was my first like meeting impression of them. The agency coordinator at the time told me that mom had a stomach bug, that she did not want to get me sick, which that's understandable, right? You wouldn't want to come and be sick around me if I was transferring. But now we know that that was the same situation told to many other women that also use them. So it was some type of a lie. Who knows, but that was a little strange. Pregnancy from that point on, I mean, went decently well. I did all my beta lab tests here to check to see if I was pregnant. I was. And then we had sonogram, everything was good. um, when I was 17 weeks is when things got a little weird.
Okay.
um, I was on Facebook scrolling through, just browsing the surrogate pages, looking at other people's stories just for the heck of it. We were actually taking a family road trip to Florida, and so my parents are driving. I'm in the back seat scrolling, and I see a post, and it's from an agency review page,
Okay.
and it was a young woman, and she was asking the agency review page if there was any reviews on the agency, the one that I was using. And so of course, being nosy, I'm like, I wonder what people have to say about my agency. I start scrolling, and it's all bad reviews. I mean, people are like, don't use them, we've seen horrible things about them, their Google website's not even reputable. Like it said they were permanently closed on Google for whatever reason, like the actual agency. And then I see one lady comment, and she says don't use them, the intended parents are used for every surrogate that they ask about, like that they market. Like she was basically saying, like, we've heard stories that women have said they're using these parents, and these parents have multiple women at the same time pregnant for the same family, and it's not disclosed ahead of time. Now I know legally they don't have to disclose that they're doing a dual surrogacy. However, ethically you would think that that would be included, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, as a part of the profile. So I start scrolling. I actually personal message a few girls that I see on the comments that seem to know a little bit more about the agency than I do. It turned to find out one of the girls, and we verified through personal information and messages that we were in fact caring for the same couple. I was already 17 weeks. She was about a month behind me, And then there was another girl who was a couple months ahead of both of us.
Mhm.
And so I'm just like, what in the world is going on here? It was really, really strange. It kind of it started our Florida trip off a little wild.
That is wild. And you know, I've heard of this, surrogacy sisters or women who are pregnant with the same couple, because what will happen is intended parents might have two or three if they're wealthy enough surrogate mothers that they
Yeah,
can do embryo transfers because not every embryo transfer is going to result in a
yeah,
pregnancy. And so
exactly.
that's kind of their way of ensuring, a timeline of at least maybe one surrogate mother will become pregnant. And then
Yeah,
in some cases, when multiple women become pregnant, they'll do a reduction and an abortion
yeah,
for the women that they might just pick one because they don't want really all
yeah,
three of the women to be pregnant. So it seems in this case, this isn't just like a case of like surrogacy sisters. They had multiple women multiple times at different points in time
yeah.
that they were contractually, legally obligated to as intended parents.
Yes. Yeah. There was and mind you, this was just the beginning. This was I was 17 weeks. I mean, I had just found out about this. One of the girls I messaged had actually given me the name of a lawyer. I can't remember which state she resides in, but um she had represented one of the girls who had also been a surrogate for this couple. Come to find out, the intended parents had actually had a like had to have a home study done on their home because they got caught up having multiple surrogates and someone raised a red flag about it, and so the courts wanted to make sure that there was nothing weird going on with these babies. So and at the time, I mean, I don't know how long ago this was. They could have only had a few at that time, and that's why it might not have been a huge deal, but they were able to pass a home study somehow,
Wow.
and everything was good. And my own lawyer looked into that because when I found out about this, I emailed my lawyer immediately and I said, "Hey, I just found this out on Facebook. These girls are talking. Like, somebody needs to do some investigating." And so when my lawyer went to investigate, she only got as far as speaking with the intended parents' attorney. She couldn't get any more information. That's all she said was, the attorney says they just want a big family, that nothing weird's going on, that this is just IP dad was significantly older than the mom, and so their mentality, I guess, was they wanted to have as many children as they could before he got way too old. Um,
Okay.
it's all, BS, but
And
that's what I was told.
did you have to pay for your lawyer? Did you have to provide funds to get more legal counsel then after the contract, or did she just
No,
kind of
no,
help you out?
she was great. She
Okay,
she was
that's
able
nice.
to dig in because she had never heard of anything like this either. At the same time, though, my lawyer here in Texas had never heard of this agency.
Right.
She
Okay.
said it was her first time working with a GC with this agency. So she was
Sure.
kind of like, oh my gosh, what is going on? So
Hmm.
she did digging, basically just told me, I hope this eases your mind, but this is all the information I could get. The legal contract looked and was legit. So maybe it's just a really weird situation of these people have a lot of money and want a lot of kids. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
that just kind of highlights too that these agencies are not regulated at all. Like they can pop
they're
up
not.
anywhere,
Yeah.
anywhere in a state that it is legal to have gestational commercial surrogacy. They can pop up. And that is why it's so important and why we fight so hard to try to keep um, surrogacy either illegal or have like really no statute in the state. Because once it is marked legal, then these agencies can pop up wherever.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because you would think that um, the fertility clinic, maybe where they did the transfer might raise some red flags, right? Or was the transfer at because most often the agency, like you said, is just this middleman. They're not actually doing any of the care, the medical care, the transfers. So you would think, hopefully, that maybe there would be some red flags or some checks and balances within the medical providers who are providing these types of care.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, like a little bit later on in the story, the when I had my interview with the FBI about all this, and they had even kind of asked that, they were like, do you know if any of the other women, have used different clinics for the transfer? Come to find out, they're using like two or three different clinics, so they're not all using the same one of them is primarily used, which is the one that I went through, but there's two other ones that they're weaseling their way through to use. And I mean, really, who knows if they know? I mean,
Right.
and we're in a weird day and age now where money talks for some people and they don't really care ethically. You know, you throw me some money under the table and we'll, transfer to a zillion girls. You know what I mean? If you want us to. And that's almost what it seems like. I mean, nothing's, in stone, but that's just what it appears like. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, I do know what you mean. I've
Yeah.
been doing this a while. I know how stinky
Yeah.
it gets. So,
Yeah.
okay. So we are gonna back up a little bit. We've gotten so far ahead, but maybe it's a little teaser for people to keep listening because this is crazy. And really, where's the reporting on this? I want to see major news outlets talking about this. But anyway, 17 weeks pregnant, you find this news out, you reach out to your lawyer. Were your fears subsided a little bit by what she had to
Yeah,
say?
I would say they were. I mean, I didn't specifically bring it up to the agency, but I just, kind of was like, well, I guess it wasn't disclosed. My lawyer had told me, like, legally they didn't have to disclose dual surrogate to you or dual surrogacy, that it's just, she told me herself they should have told you about this because a lot of women would not have wanted to carry for a dual surrogacy situation. But unfortunately, by law, they don't have to. So it was just kind of one of those things like, I was already pregnant. There's not much I can do. So I just kind of had to ride it out the rest of the pregnancy. It was wild. I mean, even then, like the intended parents, I had very minimal contact with them. And I think that's another major red flag is from the beginning, the agency was always like, oh, they're very busy people. They have very important business or whatever. They own businesses, is what I was told. I mean, they're just very, very, very busy. That's what I was told constantly. Anytime. It was also very hard to speak to the intended parents without the agency being involved somehow, whether that was a group text message or them basically telling me, hey, don't message intended parents directly because they're very busy. Just message us and we'll relay the message to them. And this all started after I was pregnant. So, I mean, there wasn't really much I could do
Right.
except for, if I wanted to speak to them, I had to use these avenues they were giving me. At one point, I had actually taken my IP mom's number out of our group chat and tried to text her privately because you're supposed to be able to do that. The
Right.
agency is just there from the beginning and to kind of help guide, not be the main point of contact the whole journey. Well, they actually messaged me and were like, "Hey, just if you could please just keep it in the group text message, that would be helpful so we can
She
all."
outed you.
Yeah. So, basically, yeah, I didn't have any contact personally, like with the IP mom, just me and her in messages until like the very end of the pregnancy. And even then, it was still kind of like more so the group text that was active, but once in a while she'd reply to me personally, but it was very limited contact. There wasn't much like she never texted me to ask how I was doing. It was never oh my
You're
goodness.
there. No, you're there.
Okay, somebody was calling me in the background and started beeping.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm like, don't call me right now. So it was one of those things. I mean, you would suspect anyway, somebody that's carrying your child, you would want to reach out to them, whether it's weekly, at least monthly in the beginning. Like you would just assume that they would want, to see sono pictures and updates from appointments. And I was the one having to send everything, and it was crickets. The whole entire program, I mean, crickets, just they never checked up. And it was, I mean, I say never, maybe twice the whole pregnancy until the very last month or two. But it was just not at all the experience I was given. The profile for these intended parents that I was given in the beginning, it stated that they wanted their surrogate to be like family and they wanted a close, relationship. And as soon as I got pregnant, everything went out the door. It was
Wow.
nothing was what I was promised. So it was pretty crummy.
Yeah. I hear that a lot,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that as soon as I was pregnant, some,
Yeah.
something changed. Something went out the door. And that's really unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, and what's also interesting is there is a similar thread to in some of my interviews that I've done about the dad showing up, the intended father showing up for the transfer and not the mother, which is just odd. In one case, the mother was actually pregnant herself, and
Oh,
just didn't want
wow.
to show herself. So,
Yeah.
which, anyway, anyway, we digress. Let's get back to your story. Um, health concerns seem like your pregnancy was fairly uncomplicated,
Yeah,
which
there wasn't any complications really. I mean, there was a little things here and there in the beginning, but they corrected themselves, and so there was no major issues or anything that they would have needed to like pay more, attention to. It was fairly easy pregnancy.
that's good because we know surrogate pregnancies are more often than not high risk. They have
Yeah.
more susceptibility to complications. So very good to hear that at least that wasn't your situation and that you were healthy. So I think then we can kind of fast forward to delivery and then what happened post delivery, which is what made the FBI get involved and
Yeah.
made us raise our eyebrows and want to share your story.
Yeah, so I would say about 38 weeks. Mom did kind of become a little more responsive. She was, kind of sort of checking in more than usual, which I was super happy about. So, of course, my red flags kind of went down. Mentally, you're like, oh, okay, they're
You're like,
responding
phew.
now. Yeah, I'm like, oh, they're here. And so I was updating. I was actually induced at 39 weeks.
Okay.
Um,
Why were you induced? Can I ask?
just my OB it was one of those that was real scheduled, and
Okay.
I didn't have any I wasn't opposed to it, but there was
Okay.
not like a medical reason for
Sure.
it specifically. They just were like, well, you're full term, you've had 4 deliveries, and I was induced with 2 of my own, so
Okay.
there wasn't like it was okay in their eyes.
Okay.
So I was induced. The start of the labor was weird. I messaged the agency, mind you, they knew my induction date for 2 to 3 weeks prior to me being induced, and somehow mom had not secured a flight to come to where I lived at, to where I live at. While I was literally in labor, mind you, I had an unmedicated birth. I didn't get an epidural, no pain medication, nothing. I mean, so I'm there like dying, right? I
Right.
have my doula with me. She was amazing, my boyfriend, and so that was good. But I wanted the communication from mom because, like, where are you? You know what I mean? Your daughter's coming out, and so the agency then messaged me, not mom, the agency, and said, "Is there an airport that's closer to you? Because the airport she's trying to fly into, a flight was canceled, and mind you, I don't know if any of this is true, but this is just what I was told.
Right. That's what they're texting you
Um,
in labor.
while I'm in
In
labor."
labor.
Yeah, and so I texted him back because I was angry, and I'm like, I'm literally in labor. Like, this should have been something that was, talked about, scheduled, planned, um, weeks ago, or at least the week that I found out about my
Sure.
induction date. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of was an issue at first, and then I quit being so responsive on my phone. I'm obviously busy. um, you know,
Obviously, bringing their child into the world.
yes. And so then the agency, I'm trying to think, fast forward a couple hours, the agency did message me back and said, okay, mom got a flight. She'll be there probably 7 or 8 hours. And I was like, okay, I guess. They didn't want to be in the delivery room anyways. That
Okay.
wasn't something, and they were upfront about that in the beginning.
Sure.
So I,
Okay.
I already wasn't planning on them being in there, but I was still planning on them being at the hospital at least to, be the
Right.
first ones to hold their baby and, have that first golden hour with their child. Um, that didn't happen obviously, but I had the baby. Everything was good, delivery went great. I actually did get the first hour to hold her and hang out with her, so she had some type of skin to skin instead of just being in, the nursery. um Mom had texted me finally, and she said, I'm on the way, sorry I couldn't be there. I said, it's okay, I'm holding her. I sent pictures, and she just didn't seem very, like, oh, my baby, it was just like, okay, I'll be there. Like, it was weird. It was just very detached, and
Felt
now I know why.
transactional.
It was
Seems.
extremely transactional. Very much not what I wanted at all out of this whole process. So the baby was supposed to come back to me, but there was a discrepancy with the baby has like a band on their wrist that identifies them in the nursery, and the only other person that can have a band to be able to be with the baby is technically the mom. And because I wasn't mom, even though mom wasn't there and had given them permission to have the baby with me, they couldn't give me any type of a band to bring the baby back. So the baby just had to go to the nursery and wait there for 6, 7 hours until mom arrived. They eventually moved me to postpartum. I got a text about 12:30 a.m. and it was a picture of the baby, and it was the mom. And she said, "I'm here with her now." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so emotional." I was crying, boohooing and stuff. And so I felt okay. I was like, "Okay, well, mom's here. She just couldn't make it." Once again, I'm so like emotional and hormonal, so I was just like, "Okay, it's okay." Um, Fast forward, discharge day, I think, is when things kind of red flags went up again. Baby wasn't discharged yet, but I was ready to go home, and my OB cleared me to go home. So me and my boyfriend left. We went home. That same night, about 11:30, I got a text from her, and she said, "Hey, I didn't bring a car seat." She said, "I didn't bring a car seat, and the hospital's telling me I need a car seat to take the baby to the airport." Like, well, how else did you think you were going to get the baby there? It makes no sense. She asked me, she said, "If I pay you, can you just go get a cheap car seat? And could your boyfriend give me a ride to the airport in the morning around 10 o'clock? Because that's when they're discharging us." And me being me, I was like, I want to, see the baby more, just get to, see her before she leaves. So I'm like, yeah, babe, let's do it. And he's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. We went in to Walmart and purchased like just cheap car seat, something simple to get him from point A to
Sure.
point B. I think it was like $100. I saved the receipt. We went to the hospital. My boyfriend and I actually both walked upstairs. She put the baby into the car seat. We left. We actually gave her a ride to the airport. She was headed back to California with the baby. She handed us $500 in cash. And I said, "I don't need all this money." And she said, "No, no, for your troubles." Um, and she got out of the car, got on the plane, and that's the last time I saw her or heard from her for a while.
How are
Uh,
your emotions? Like, I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't
Oh,
imagine.
I will tell you, for 2 weeks straight after the delivery, and especially during this whole time period, I couldn't go 2 hours without sobbing. Like I was, this was surrogacy, being a surrogate, and the emotions that come with it. I think a lot of people don't talk about, because the main reason that a lot of women are surrogates is for the money. And I know that sounds really crummy, but like there's a very, very small number of, I think it's altruistic surrogates that don't do it for money. I mean, because realistically, you're putting your body through a whole lot, and there's not very many people that would do it without some type of compensation. That's just how it is. You know what I mean? And so,
Yep.
it was, but at that point, to me, that wasn't like the priority. It was like I just had a baby for somebody, you know what I mean? And it was supposed to be like a beautiful type of like mesmerizing experience. And it was very, very, very evident, like that exact moment, that this was nothing but just, here's some money, here's some money, here's some money. uh I got a little ahead of myself, but in the hospital, whenever she had come the next morning, because she got the baby about midnight. That next morning, before I got discharged, she actually came into our room with the baby. I actually met her for the first time in person,
Okay.
and it was the same lady who was in the profile that I got in the beginning of the pregnancy. So same person, and I was like, oh, breath of relief. It's her. She's not fake. So
That's
it was
terrible.
her. But once again, I mean, she wasn't holding the baby. I mean, the baby was wrapped up in the little bassinet, thing that they roll them around in. I mean, she just you just would think that somebody that wanted a baby so bad would be holding on that baby and loving on that baby and just in awe with that baby, but it was nothing. She barely even looked at her. It was weird. Um, she uh she handed me $2,000 in cash. She
Okay.
handed my mother, who was there, $200, my boyfriend, $200, my son, $200, and my daughter, $200. I had my two youngest kids there because they wanted to see, you know, belly bud that came out of my belly before she left. Um, and she just starts handing out money and thanking me, you know, for giving her life. And she went on and on telling us stories about California, where she lives, and um, she supposedly only had one child who was a teenage daughter. That's what I understood from the profile. That's the story she gave us in the hospital. That
But
was
you
not
knew that
true.
that was not true, really, because you had already known that she
Yes,
had had a house
but
evaluation.
she didn't know I knew that.
Oh my goodness.
And
Okay.
so, you know, I kind of wanted to see what story she would continue to play out. So, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, I just had a baby, so I'm
Right.
emotional, I'm hormonal. I mean, I'm not thinking about all that. I'm just thinking about, you know, what's happening right now. And
Right.
oh my gosh, I just had a baby. It was my first unmedicated delivery, so I was in pain. Obviously, it was
Yeah.
bad, but that was just another little brief kind of weird
What a
thing.
strange interaction to give your
Yeah,
children money too.
it was, yeah, it was really strange. But fast forward, you know, we left, gave her a ride, she took off. And that was really it for about 2.5 weeks of hearing from her. She did let me know when they arrived back to California. She said we made it home. Um, and that was all I heard for a couple weeks. Um, I got a text when she was about 2.5 weeks old. I asked if I could have a picture just, you know, to see her, and they sent a little video. Um, I thought, you know, everything was good. Another month goes by. I did receive another video, but there's not really much interaction. She actually did send gifts for my children's birthday, which was a little like, I was thankful, but at the same time, it's just reminding me that once again, it's more transactional and gifts, and it wasn't like, I would have much rather just had like conversation with her rather than receive, you know, gifts. I mean, it was cool for my kids, but it wasn't like, I didn't ask for that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so we just had small chit chat, really. um and I'm trying to think, I want to say that brings us all the way to about a month and a half ago, which is
Okay.
when everything, this is when everything blew up.
Okay.
um so I had and I have to clarify this because I had just gotten over thinking that something weird was going on.
Okay. So you
Just
were
gotten
finally like at peace, at a
I
place
was
of like,
finally at
okay.
peace. My hormones were dissipating. I actually, they didn't want breast milk, but I pumped for 2.5 months and donated locally
Oh, okay.
to mamas. I got really tired of having that scheduled though, so I quit recently. But um, everything was finally nice and calm, and my life had gone on. And then I get a Facebook message from some girl. I don't even remember what her name was, but she messaged me and she was like, "Hey, would you mind if I added you to a group chat?" She said, "We have a group chat for all these women that have carried for the same couple you did." And I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, not again. It was insane. So I said, yeah, go ahead. You know, whatever. Let's just make my life more complicated. Add me to the group chat. She adds me. These girls had been talking for weeks. I mean, weeks prior to adding me into it.
Wow. How many
But
girls?
there was me and 5 others. And these aren't even the ones that were from the beginning of my pregnancy. These
Right.
were totally different. So I start reading up, you know, trying to catch up as much as I can. I definitely didn't catch up on everything, but I read the gist of it. All these girls had the same, I mean, pictures were sent of these girls with the same mom. So there was actual diehard, like picture proof of all these women holding their surro babes with the same mom standing right next to them. Some of them were within weeks of each other. I had the baby March 13th. There was a girl who delivered the last week of February. Another girl who delivered a couple weeks after I did. It was insane. And there was one girl who's actually still pregnant in that group.
Oh my.
And so it was, I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? I mean, these girls have been sharing screenshots and all sorts of crazy stuff. And so there was my textbook evidence that there was not only one or two or three plus me, there was 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 people that had had babies all within the past 12 months for the same exact couple. And so of course I'm like in a frenzy because I'm like, who do I tell? Like, what do I do? I mean, there was already red flags, but I kind of let those go because I didn't think that anything else was going to come out of this. Um, so I was in the group chat for about, it wasn't even but a day or two. One of the girls that was in the group chat was a little bit upset that some of us were talking about like making a report to like the FBI tip line, or like it just seemed like trafficking or something was going on. So we were like, who do we tell? One of the girls in the group actually lives at a rental property that the intended mom rents to her because she's also supposedly a real estate agent. Who knows how true that is, but she was like, I don't want to get kicked out of the house. And, I'm worried that if we start telling too many people, she's going to find out that we're, all talking, and she's going to be upset with me and kick us out. And so I was like, I totally get your opinion, and you're like, but you're disadvantaging all these babies that are possibly being trafficked by not speaking out about it. Which, she has a young kid. I understand. She was scared. Really, she was scared, and that's totally, valid because this is not a normal situation.
Scared
So
and financially dependent on this
yes,
woman.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which is not a situation you should be in, being a surrogate for someone either. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was not
That
okay.
crosses so many like boundaries
Ethical,
and
yeah, ethical
conflicts of
boundaries.
interest.
Exactly. So I actually, one of the girl that was kind of getting upset on the group chat, I blocked her, and then I was booted from the group. They took me out of the group. Apparently somebody had leaked to the intended parents that there was this group chat. The girls thought it was me because I was the last one into the group. It wasn't me, but but they thought it was me, so they booted me from the group. Um, and that was the last I really talked to the group. But there was so much evidence in that group, it was insane. Pictures, screenshots of conversations these girls were having with the mom. Everybody, the mom was giving every single person different excuses as to why she couldn't be at the birth. There was actually one girl who had a baby, and I'm actually in contact with her via text message. We FaceTimed and stuff, and she actually had a baby for them, and they had her take the baby home and take care of it for 2 weeks. Take care of him, I'm sorry, for 2 weeks because she couldn't be there for whatever reason. And they just paid her extra, I guess, like cash or
Sure.
like, yeah. So, everybody had a different story. Some of the girls were like, oh, well, she came, and picked the baby up and it was fine. And some of them were like, oh no, that's not what happened with me. And so, that's kind of the end of the connection I had with the group chat. But that's kind of what prompted all of this to like, oh my God, what's going on? So fast forward from there, I'm furious
Yeah.
at this point. I mean, I don't care who knows what we know. Like, they need to know we know what we do. You know what I mean? So I messaged the agency in our group text message, and I messaged the mom, and I said, look, I've seen everything. I said, I know how many women were, pregnant for y'all. I know that I wasn't obviously the only one, or even 1 out of 10 or 11 that are pregnant. Why wasn't I disclose this information? What is going on? Are these babies even going home to y'all? I mean, what is happening? And the agency was like, don't get involved with these girls. They don't know what they're talking about, and they're going to be, held to legal penalties for sharing personal information. And we're just like, we're beyond that. Like, I don't care. If you're going to sue me, sue me. Like, I don't care. Like, what matters right now is, where are all the babies that we had? Do you even have them in your custody? Are you selling them? I mean, what's happening? You know what I mean? So the mom called me on the phone. Mind you, we never talked on the phone. Like, not through the journey, not before, like never. She called me, and she's like crying. And she's like, basically told me that the state of California is accusing her of selling babies. That's what she told me, verbatim, right out of her mouth. She told me that all of that. Well, at this time, she had only mentioned the baby I had. Now I know it was all of them in her house, which they actually DCFS removed 20 plus children from her home. 10 for sure are from surrogates, all within the last 12 months, 9 to 12 months. She had not only an older daughter, but she had sons. There was a whole bunch of other kids she never told me or anyone else that she had.
Was the intended father part of it, or are they legally even together? Do you know?
So legally, they're not even married. I was
Okay.
told they were, but they're not actually legally married. I actually haven't spoken with. He doesn't speak English at all.
Okay.
He only speaks Mandarin, so we never really talked at all during. We never texted. It was just really the mom, but he was the one I met at the transfer. So who knows? But um,
So,
so
so someone tipped off what was it? DCFS.
yeah.
We have a
So
different
what happened was they had a nanny that was supposedly watching all the babies.
20 children and 10, at least 10 babies.
Yes.
Oh my.
There was a nanny that shook one of the babies, and the baby had to be hospitalized. That is what I was told by one of the other girls who says she was told this by the mom, that the nanny did something really bad for the family. DCFS was tipped off at the hospital. And when they arrived at the house, and this is from what the DCFS worker, case manager, told me himself, is that they've never seen anything like this. All the babies looked different. They didn't know where any of them belonged to. There was no identification verifying that she was even like the legal mother for any of these children. Um, I was able to confirm with DCFS because I knew my surrogate's date of birth and name that she was there in DCFS custody. So I know she was taken as well. Intended mom told me herself that she was in DCFS custody. And so basically, and we were able to actually look up her arrest records on the public database. And she was arrested when she told me she was arrested. She told me she was in jail for 4 days. The police took one of her phones for investigative purposes. And that they're accusing her of selling babies. She still swears that that's not what she's doing, that it's, they just want a big family. She's sticking to that story, but the facts say otherwise, Uh,
And I'm just worried, like wondering about the agent. How is the agency involved in all this? Are they related to her? Like,
they own the agency.
ah ha ha ha.
That's
There it
what we
is.
that's what we found out. They actually own the agency. So they were every single carrier that looks at that agency on Facebook is uh like recruited for the same couple, which is them.
Because they own it. Okay. Do you know where? I'm curious. You may not know, only because I live in California. Where in California is this happening?
Uh,
Northern, southern,
it's
middle?
in the Los Angeles area,
Okay.
Arcadia,
Yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Wow. And so then the FBI is involved, and you know
Yeah,
this.
the FBI, me and some of the other girls that I'm talking to are currently working with them. I completed like a 3 hour interview with them a couple weeks ago. They wanted to know everything. I'm talking like from beginning to like all the details about like who was there at my transfer and what did they look like, and I mean their nationality. I mean they're like really, really, really digging. DCFS is also there's multiple case managers assigned to this case because there's so many children. I've been personally in contact with two, one which specifically is for my surrogate babe. I've put myself in a position where I've offered to be a placement for the baby that I had, if that is an option, as like a kinship placement. It's just a little difficult because it's interstate, and it's California and Texas, I guess, don't work very well together for certain reasons. So it's just kind of difficult. Um, I am trying to get some help. I just haven't been able to find an attorney to do it pro bono yet because I don't have buku money to dish out for
Yeah.
help like that right now. But
And I want to interject because you do have a GoFundMe, which is another way I found you.
yeah,
So, if you
yeah,
want to give those details for anyone listening, because I believe rightly that child does, if you are willing, because surrogate mothers don't go in this to have another child, which is not
exactly.
your intention, but you were her birth mother, and I can't imagine a better place for that little one to be than in your family and in your arms, as that, but. So I am my gut. I'm like so angry right now. I'm so like my stomach is balled up in knots. I'm so nauseous just thinking about all of these like just these precious babies and children. And do you have any like how are you feeling? And do you think that anything is going to be done? I mean, I want Trump like yesterday to close our borders. We don't know, like you said, you think that this is a couple that's, or at least a mother that's a United States citizen. Do we know that for sure? We know that folks from Asia and other countries come to the United States to use U.S. women for surrogacy
So
arrangements.
their babies have dual citizenship is the
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
And so like do we even know that? I want our borders shut. I want this to stop because this is trafficking children regardless. Like this is terrible. This is not how children should be conceived or treated or any of this. But um
yeah.
I'll let you
It's
speak.
we don't know. So this whole thing is under investigation. You know what I mean? There's no specific like this is exactly what they're doing. We know this for a fact kind of thing. I just want to make that clear because
Sure.
when I was spreading assumption and my information on TikTok originally, I got a lot of backlash of, oh, well, you don't even really know this is what they're doing.
Sure.
You're just speculating. And that might be true, but I mean, you tell me what you think. You know what I mean? Because you put all these facts. I mean, even if, like, let's just say for all intents and purposes, these babies were all going and staying with them and they did just want a big family, why lie about everything you've lied? I mean, you only lie when there's something to cover up. So obviously, from the beginning, this was a big lie. You know what I mean? They prey on women that are first time surrogates. Majority, I want to say every single surrogate that has fallen victim to this family was a first time surrogate, I believe. Uninformed surrogates. And so, I'm upset. I mean, obviously, that's why I went to TikTok about it and I went live. I don't have a whole lot of followers, but I wanted somebody to hear, to vent to. So I start venting and I didn't expect it to blow up the way it did, but I had people sharing it. I had other girls reaching out to me because their attorneys saw the video about the agency and sent it to them. And since that has happened, not only the few in the beginning, the 5 in the group chat, but there have now been at least 5 other women that have come forward that a couple of them are actually still pregnant for them right now. There's one girl that I have her number and we actually talk weekly. She's 22 weeks pregnant for them right now with a little boy. And her attorney is trying to figure out what they can do to get her rights of the baby and not have to sign a pre-birth order because she hasn't signed one yet. And so they're trying to like finagle that aspect. I've had threats from random people. I couldn't even tell you who they were. I've had people claiming that they're with this agency, calling me, basically offering me hush money, asking me how much I want monetarily to just like turn the other head to this. Um,
Do you
I
think because they're players in some way? This is all speculation.
I think that everyone's involved. I think the clinic's involved. I think the agency obviously is involved. They're the parents. I think that from what I was told is that the dad is like a billionaire. From what I was told, he has buku money. They have investment companies. They're extremely involved. I mean, you're talking like $5 million houses in California is what they're working with. So, I mean, it just screams, money buys what money wants, and it's really unfortunate that babies have to be a part of this,
Yeah.
this scheme. I mean, it's almost like me and some of the girls have speculated what this looks like, obviously, and like I said, this total speculation. But say there's families in China that want to purchase babies, and they pay these people a humongous chunk of money. These people spend little chunks of money on a bunch of different women to have the babies. The reason why it could be possibly an egg donor is because that's the preferences, whatever the egg donor is, that would be the preferences of whatever these families in China want the babies to look like.
Mhm.
That's why they all look totally different. And then once, the babies are born, they receive documentation. The intended mother is actually I know she's a US citizen, but she did tell me a couple different stories on different time periods that she goes in and out of China quite frequently. So I mean, if she's listed as the mother on these birth certificates, she can take all these babies to China and come back without them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible, you know what I mean? It sounds like, I'm not saying that's what they're doing because I don't know, but at the end of the day, it's just when you start putting two and two together, you can't help but think that that's what's occurring, and that was not what my surrogate journey was supposed to look like, you know, and
Yeah.
um,
Well, and
so
she has no relationship to these babies. She's not
he
genetically
doesn't, yeah,
related to them. She didn't birth
hmm,
them. She didn't bring the like at all.
exactly, yep,
This is remarkable, and I am just hoping and praying that the FBI does get to the bottom of this. This reminds me a lot of a story that I brought to listeners of Christian, not the same agency, not at all like the same situation, except for she was a surrogate mother for a Chinese couple that was residing in the United States, and she did not know until afterwards that they had intended on putting that child up for adoption after she birthed a child. So the intended parents were actually intending to be the parents at all. And this just kind of is ringing alarm bells in that situation as well because, and again, this is not the same agency, not, these are very two different situations, but
yeah,
they smell similar.
yeah,
And we need to wake up as a country, as a globe, as a world, to these types of things because these are babies that
yeah,
will grow up to be adults. These are humans. These
hmm,
are, and this is not okay.
yeah,
Um,
exactly,
and I hope we get to the bottom of this. I hope someone, a reporter, somebody is going to find this and we have some resolve. These cases, you're right. It's really hard to get anywhere. Lawyers, they can't all work for free.
yeah,
They don't have legal expertise in this area. There's a real vacuum, I think, for people in law and in you know, a real vacuum for lawyers in this space to help um, victims of big fertility of this big scheme.
hmm,
I really appreciate you sharing all of that with me. I am left really nauseous.
yeah.
And I'm going to hopefully stay in touch with you. I would love to hear if you are reunited with the baby that you brought into this world, and I'm hopeful that that will happen. Do you have anything else that you'd like to add? I don't want to cut you off at all. We can keep talking, but I also want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah.
But is there anything else at all that you would like to add or um,
Um,
anything?
I'm trying to think if there's any other key points. I mean, as of right now, we're kind of just in limbo with the whole thing. We're, like you said, and I said, the FBI is investigating. It could be weeks, months, years. I mean, this could turn out to be some, I mean, giant takedown of some crazy. I mean, because what I was told they're being, accused of, I guess they haven't been convicted of
Right,
anything yet, but they're being charged with like a major organized crime
right,
is what's happening. And so you know, obviously there's a lot that plays into it. I mean, all the way down to where the eggs were donated. I mean, you know what I mean? Because you think about it, like these egg banks, I mean, if you have the same people coming in getting X amount, you know what I mean? It just, you start to dwindle down to the very beginning of how this starts. I mean, there's so many entities that are involved. This could take forever. And me and all the girls are like, watch, this is going to be some type of a crazy Netflix documentary one day because this is insane. And I will say, like, I am kind of going out on a limb talking about it too, because you think about, I mean, we don't know who these people are. You know what I mean? We don't know what they're capable of or who they know or what ties they might have. So, really being like super vulnerable even talking about it because, you
yeah,
know, who knows who's going to see something and then show somebody who knows this person and it
right,
will trickle back down. But, you know, if you're
yeah,
watching, boo, you
yeah.
suck. You
And
know, but
if you're watching and you're still thinking like, oh, I'm not convinced, whatever. This is a far cry from the surrogacy that is advertised as couples who have always longed to be parents, that are struggling to pay for their surrogate pregnancies, that have tried everything and this is the only thing they can do. This is a far cry from what's depicted by the fertility industry at a minimum. At a minimum, this is like a really crazy situation where a family has exploited multiple women, lied to them in the process to
Mhm.
create this very large family at a minimum. But like you said, it seems like there's a lot more at play here.
Yeah, there
Won't know
is.
for sure,
There
but
there definitely is. The sad thing is there's so many women that are still pregnant, and now that this is blown up and these women are still pregnant, I mean, who knows what's going to happen to these babies. There was a girl in Pennsylvania, May 11th, she had a child for them and they never showed up to get the baby, so the state took custody. There was a girl, I could not tell you what state she lives in, but she actually just gave birth at 23 weeks for their baby, a little boy. He passed away. He was too tiny, but the parents didn't even show up to the hospital. They called over the phone and paid for him to be cremated, and now are trying to reach out and apologize to her for not being there. Once again, not my story to tell, but just
well,
that this is happening, and she's, I mean, I can only imagine what she's feeling, and I'm sure from what I've seen on social media anyways that she's really mentally struggling right now because no one was there for her when they should have been for their child that did not make it, you know what I mean? And
right.
so but once again, same parents, same
Yeah.
agency, so
And I'm sorry, but if this was truly about, oh, I just want to have a large family, you would be grieving over that baby lost regardless. You
yeah,
would be there for every delivery. You would be, right? Like if this was truly about wanting a large family, then it wouldn't it wouldn't be as transactional as it is.
exactly.
Right? Like even I know many people in my life who have large families and they love and they care for every single baby, and
um,
they didn't have surrogates to have all of their children, but they mourned a miscarriage. They've mourned, and this is so
It's not
crazy.
it. Yeah,
Right.
it's definitely not it. It's something totally different. And I guess really all we can hope is that one day it comes to light. I will tell you that this agency that I used has shut down that original agency name. It is now using a different name.
Oh, so they're still allowed to operate as an agency. They haven't been shut
Yes.
down?
No. They're actually operating as a new agency now, and they have a Facebook page. Their reviews are being trashed now by women on the surrogate groups that are seeing it. So I don't anticipate that they keep their page up for long, but they are still operating and trying to actively recruit. And at the same time, the page was brought to my attention. I actually was able to look it up on Google, and they have used my initials in the state that I live in and wrote a review praising them on their page, a review that I never wrote. And originally they had used my picture as well. They just blurred my face out, but it's a picture of me at the transfer when I went originally and met the dad for the embryo transfer. That within a period of a few days was edited. Whoever's on their website creating it, editing it, which I think is the mom, but whoever is doing it, I guess realized, oh man, they're gonna see their picture on here, took it down and just put initials. But like they used my initials in the state, and they even included like in the description, like, has 4 kids and this and that. And I'm like, I mean, I know that's me. I didn't write that. And some of the other girls too that I'm in contact with that are like in California, Pennsylvania, there are reviews also with their initials in the state that they're in, but reviews that were never wrote from us. So, yeah, it's a nightmare. It's a big
Yeah.
nightmare.
Wow.
Yeah. So
There's a lot to unpack. And so I just want to, caution any woman who is considering becoming a surrogate mother. Um, there are multiple steps where things can go wrong. This is obviously a extreme case,
it
but
is the worst end that it could be, I think.
sure.
Yeah.
But add to that too health complications, add to that postpartum depression, add to that, surrogate mothers have died. So there's multiple things that can go wrong. And like I said, this is like worst case, one of the worst case scenarios. but yeah, it doesn't really shock me because again, I'm reminded of like Christian's story, which is a different agency and a different family. And um, you, man,
Yeah, they
we just need to
they
shut this down.
they owe they have not paid my medical bill since December.
Oh,
Mind you, I had the
oh,
baby in March, so all my medical bills are now escalated to debt collectors that won't stop calling me about it. Many of the other girls that have birthed and carried for this family, same situation. One of the girls is actually having to use the money out of her base compensation just to pay her medical bills because she didn't want it to get to collections. Um, I found out yesterday actually that the medical insurance they provided for me,
mhm,
I'm actually listed as an employee for the intended mother for a real estate company. She has had me on like a Blue Cross Blue Shield employee plan this whole time, and I didn't know until yesterday. I was trying to call to see what I could do to pay like Cobra after it ends, and I was like, well, why hasn't it ended yet? My insurance should have ended on their behalf already because the baby's almost 3 months old. The Blue Cross Blue Shield agent messaged me back and said, you're on an employee plan. The only way that you can move to paying on your own or have access to that is if your employer terminates you. And I said, I'm not an employee for anybody, I'm a surrogate. And so it's long story short, I'm actually I am going to be a surrogate again. I'm
okay.
going to try really hard to make round two better, but I'm in cahoots with a really, really reputable agency right now. They have a lot of great praise and reviews, and they're not anything like this other agency. But this can't kind of came to light because I'm in the matchmaking phase again, which everything's going the way it should have the first time this time around. But I'm in the process of like looking at profiles and parents looking at me and kind of trying to see, kind of put my feelers out there again slowly
Mhm.
but surely. But we're trying to like get me more insurance for the next journey, and I can't. So not only has this affected me and all these other ways, but now it's creating an issue even for me in the future because I don't know how to be terminated from a job that I don't have. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I've reached out to this agency. They're supposed to be shut down, but they still message on their Facebook page. It's weird. On the old name, like the old Facebook
Mhm.
page. And I asked them yesterday, I said, why am I listed as an employee when I never worked for this company? And they left me on red. They didn't even reply to me. So they can't even answer the
Mhm.
questions because they know what they were doing was illegal. I mean, it's
Mhm.
illegal. You can't say that somebody's an employee just to get them insurance and use their information because now apparently I'm an employee for some real estate agency in California that I didn't even know existed.
Sounds like you need legal representation
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Goodness. I
yeah.
can't believe
So
you're gonna do another surrogacy, Kayla. I cannot believe that.
I
No
know
way. No
I
way.
I I my and a lot of it probably has to do with my personality, but my purpose of being a surrogate was to have a baby for a family, have a close relationship. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen We Are Dan and Sam on Facebook. They're another or not intended parent. They're a surrogate couple, and she's carried twice for families. But this last family that she cared for, um, they ended up having like a sisterhood relationship, and so they actually still get together and do some content creation for the surrogate that she had. But um, that was kind of the relationship I wanted. Like I wanted not necessarily to be like an auntie if that relationship didn't blossom like that, but I
Hmm.
wanted to be um I wanted that relationship. Like I wanted intended parents that wanted to be in the delivery room and just I wanted to see their whole world just, you know, come to life when their child
Hmm.
was born. And um I'm moving very slowly about it. I'm moving very cautiously, but I am hopeful that I can at least with this last pregnancy, because this will be my sixth delivery, mind you. I have four kids of my own,
Right.
and then this delivery. You can't have more than six deliveries, like per ASMR. I think that's what it's called, guidelines in the
Hmm.
surrogate world. So um, I'm hopeful. I would love to do it again, but it would definitely have to be to the T, exactly what I wanted originally. And if I even get one little hint of a that might not be right, I'm running,
Yeah.
running the other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll
Well,
see.
thank you for taking the time to share with me. I know it's, like you said, a vulnerable place to be. It's a scary story to tell, but it's one that I think needs to be told. So thank you. And I'm sure our listeners are going to be um, just in awe and in shock and probably have their stomach turn upside down like mine is. But again, thank you, Kayla. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
you're
We're going to
welcome.
stay in touch.
Okay.
For the listeners, if you're a surrogate mother, you want to tell your story, if you're involved in somehow and want to reach out, you can reach me at Kallie.Fell at cbc-network.org. That is my email and my best contact. But listeners, thank you as well for tuning in and for listening to Kayla's very important story.
Yes, thank y'all.
All right.